hello, and welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality. And you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm your girl, Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. I am not drinking tea though, even though I should be drinking tea because I just really like tea. But I'm not. I'm drinking actually cherry coke today. Mini cherry coke. Love me some cherry coke. And I'm doing what you all do. And I have water also as well because, why not? But the most important vessel that I have is my cup mug. Ooh. Panel full of cup mugs. Panel full of cup mugs. Deal or No Deal Island edition. And you can get your new and improved cup mug at lanagcreations.etsy.com. That link will be in the description below. And you can see, as me and Jack has our cup, it's multifaceted. You can use it as a cup holder for your pens and remotes and anything Jack has over there. I think those are pens. But
it's just pencils and a cord. We cleaned up this whole week. So it's just anything you want.
It's not just the cup to drink out of. It can hold things too. But lanagcreations.etsy.com. We do ship internationally and domestically here in the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So there are no excuses. Get your cup merch unless your postal service decides to take its sweet little time or it just gets to where it's going in customs and then stops. I'm looking at you, Brazil, because I'm about tired now. I'm about tired. I need people to get their merch, and it's stuck at customs. It's a cup, for goodness sakes. It's a cup. Give people their cup, but it shouldn't be that way in everywhere because other people have gotten their cups in very good time. So get your cup merch, period. Sorry,
and
I went on a rant. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Customs are hell. Especially now. There's so much going on. But, hello, my name is Jack. I am the resident game designer of the panel, and I would never admit to cheating. Doesn't mean I wouldn't cheat, but I'm not going to admit to it.
It's not my style.
If you can get away with sleight of hand, that's more impressive. I mean, if you get away with sleight of hand and you admit it later, that's fun. If you are so bad at it that everyone on the moment goes, "Are you kidding me?
What are you doing?"
Then you've messed up.
Period. But we are here to talk Deal or No Deal Island, episode 6. And baby, it was a decent episode, I will say. I was very okay. To break the fourth wall, we did know here at the Cup, we knew early that it was going to be a cliffhanger, so my heart wasn't in my throat at the end. I wasn't mad because we knew it was a cliffhanger due to exit interviews that we knew we were not going to get this week because we do exit interviews. And if you want to check out all of our exit interviews, you should go check that out right now. Bing in all of our playlists where we have all of our interviews. But we knew. So I watched it knowing we were going into a cliffhanger, so I wasn't gagged at the cliffhanger. But I was gagged at how it came about and what went down. And so we're going to talk all about that. But before we do, I need y'all to do me a quick favor. I need you to hit the subscribe button right now. Hit the subscribe button. Go ahead, do it.
Do it. It's not hard.
It'll
turn rainbow once you do it, which is really nice.
It's really
looks
cute.
Great.
Go do it.
And in fact, you probably saw it turn rainbow first, so just click on it, especially if you support the gays.
Or you just support this channel, period. You support TV. You like TV.
Exactly.
Watch TV. Hit the channel because we are on a mission. Honestly, we're on a mission to get 8,000 subscribers. Not 8, but 1,000 subscribers. 8 would be great, but 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So we're on a mission to do that, to give you the best content that we can give, and we're going to promise to do our part on giving you content on time, as great as we can get it, and as relevant as the time of the show that you watch. And we're going to do that for you. All we ask is that you, in return, just subscribe to the channel and subscribe to all of our channels. We have 3 other channels you can subscribe to. If you are a fan of Drag Race or Drag, if you're a fan of Eurovision Song Contest, if you are a fan of WWE Wrestling, we have 3 channels for you. All those links will be in the description below. Click the link tree, click on all those channels, subscribe, support. We appreciate you, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single video. And if you need to check us out on the go, our audio podcast links are down there as well. So you can check that out. So you will never, never be without us. And trust me, I say thank you to all of our audio listeners. Y'all are doing y'all doggone thing. And we appreciate you. I love it. And we thank you. And our Patreon. We got stuff coming down the pipeline for our Patreon that is going to be very exciting. If you want to get to know this panel a little bit more, if you want to just have some good fun, if you just want to have a good kiki with us, join our Patreon because it's about to get really good. So join the Patreon and yeah, let's do it. Deal or No Deal Island. We come into this episode and people are still reeling from the yeet of Maria Grace. Like she just got yeeted up out of there
she got dragged out like
for no reason at all.
Like, and I mean, obviously the family is very hurt because they're like, oh, well, there goes one of our 4 members, just gone. Nothing anyone can do about it.
I mean, David had a little guilt in his, little, because he was like, she practically handed me immunity, and then she just got whooped up out of here, like, and nobody saw it coming. Well, she didn't see it coming, but so it was kind of a moment where David was kind of self-reflecting a little bit, was like, I don't know how I feel about this. He was having a really inner turmoil conversation with himself, and he felt bad. And I appreciate that because a lot of times we look at people like David who is a gamer, who won Survivor Australia, who's just, we think of them as game bots. Like they don't have any emotion towards anybody else's feelings, anybody else's dreams. Like this is a big dream for her. And so in that moment, he was just like, I don't know. I don't know how I don't like this feeling of feeling this way because I really liked her. I really want to protect her. She should still be here. She gave me immunity only to get put up out this game unceremoniously. Like it was wild. It
was definitely a bit of survivor's guilt, honestly, where it's like, yeah, I lived because I was a bigger target, but like the way they got back at me was just taking out the person that was available, and it sucked because now there's this whole thing of, okay, let's keep targeting the family. We got one of them, so immediately that target's gonna. I mean, the target didn't shrink at all with MG leaving. In fact, it might have just gotten bigger.
Which is crazy because, well, we'll talk about this later. But it took Parvati, who is also a gamer, who we like, okay, she's just always in game mode. She was like, you got to snap back. Like, you got to bring it back. I get what you're feeling. I understand what you're feeling. But we are here for a reason, and we have a target. So now is not the time to start second guessing ourselves. And she was like, bring it back. And he was like, you know what? You're right. I am who I know who I am. Like, I am David. I am a Survivor winner. I am the golden god. I can do this. And so he took a nap. He went to bed, and he woke up like, bam, let's do it. Game on. Like, we back in this game. MJ, nice to know you. We gonna do it for you. But I can't dwell on this. And everybody else is pretty happy. Like the rest of the crew, they're happy they got rid of MG because that was part of the family. Not per se they wanted MG to go. She was just the only option from the family that they could get. So they hit their target. It was what it was. The family is like, okay, we are wounded, but we are not dead. So let's keep it moving. Which is what I thought was also funny because the family didn't even know they were the family at this point. Apparently.
This move, essentially taking out MG, essentially fully formalized the alliance.
I mean,
But
but
at
they
the
were
same,
already formalized. I think they were already
they
formalized, but
they were,
they
but
didn't
at the same
know.
time, they didn't know they were
No,
formalized.
I think they knew they were formalized. I don't think they knew that the other people formalized them, like had a name for them. Like they didn't even say they were the family. They didn't call themselves the family. That was other people calling them the family.
That's true.
And so I think they didn't even realize, which is still a little baffling to me, that Parvati and David wouldn't realize this. But I don't even think they realized how big their target was at this point, and didn't realize that people were actually coming from, and they didn't even still up until later, which we'll talk about. But uh, so, and this is where I knew, like I said, even if we didn't know from information that it was going to be a cliffhanger, if I didn't know this watching this episode, I would have figured it out, because they did a whole lot more pre-challenge stuff than they
They did
usually
a
do on any
lot of
episode.
strategy.
Like we
It
saw a
this
lot of conversations happening. We saw a lot of, things going on before the actual mission than we had ever seen before. And so we did see a conversation between Parvati and Philip where they both were like, Parvati was like, "You something ain't right. What's going on, Philip?" And he was like, "I mean, we both tried to bluff each other in the last challenge, and we both were lying to each other, but we talked about it. We squashed it. It is what it is." And then Parvati was like, "Well, you can't work with Will. Like we need to not work with Will, because Will is the type of person who would have bullied you back in the day. And so you definitely don't want to work with him." And in that moment, I was like,
hmm.
mm,
Yeah,
now,
that 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 is not the way to go about that conversation in the slightest.
I mean, okay. And we've had some conversations before we recorded with other panelists from the podcast. And some people didn't think it was, yes, David is in the background raising their hands saying, yes, this is his opinion, was that he did not think Parvati was intentionally weaponizing Philip's past of being bullied against him in this moment. I personally slightly disagree with that. I don't think she intentionally did it, but I think she definitely weaponized his past to try to get him to do what she wanted him to do.
It was a pretty specific reference of like, oh, yeah, no, this is the type of person you were bullied by. And that at that point made me go, of all things you could say to get Philip back on your side, it was to relay a personal story of how the same trauma you had before is coming back.
Which has not
Now,
been mentioned on the show thus far.
it did. It was
Oh,
mentioned
he did. He said at
last
the beginning. He said at
episode.
the beginning. He
Yeah,
did say it at the beginning.
but but um do I think it was like necessarily with like the intention of like, here is your past, here is your trauma, let me bring it to you in order to perfectly win you back over to my side? I don't think it was maybe that calculated,
Mm-hmm.
but I do think there was definitely maybe something subconscious that made her go like, oh, I have this thing that we've talked about before, let me bring it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And at that moment it was like, oh.
I think it was more of a, I don't even think it was, I have this thing in my back pocket that I can use with you. I think it was like, I need to figure out a way to get him to come back to me and to point out that this person, Dr. Will, is somebody who probably would have bullied you in your past. Maybe she thought that would be a good way to trigger him to say, oh, well, I don't want to deal with somebody who might have bullied me in my past. I don't think that was the right thing to do. But I think she was at a point where she was going to use whatever method that she needed to win him back. And it just did the complete opposite.
It
Because
fractured an already fractured relationship. Like,
yeah, it just did it the complete opposite, in my opinion, because it's like, I don't want to be reminded of my past, especially if I told you this and told you it was a traumatic experience. I don't want you to then bring up my traumatic experience to try to use it as a
leavening tool.
Right, a leveraging tool to get me back in your good graces. We could have just stayed in our good graces and be like, okay, we both messed up, we both lied to each other, let's just let it go and it be done. But now you're bringing up my past to try to use it as a weapon to trigger me and bring me back to you. That doesn't work, because that's not a way to get people back on your side. I don't want to bring up your old trauma to use it to get you back, and heck, to use it as a weapon to get you back. So that is why I feel like she was definitely weaponizing his trauma to bring him back to her side. But that's not the way to do it. And I don't think she was doing it intentionally. I just think she was desperate, and she was desperately trying to do whatever was necessary to get him back. And because she knows he's a good person to have on her side. And I understand that. 100% understand that, because if you see somebody who's good for you and you can work with this person, you definitely want them on your side, and you know their strengths, and you know if they turn against you, they can use all that strength now against you, and you don't want that. So you're going to try everything. I just think she just stepped. It's a line, and she just went right over.
She crossed the line, and Philip immediately threw up a red flag of like, we're not doing this. I hope you realize that you have just set off a landmine. Any chance of repairing this relationship is
done.
Gone.
Done.
And I mean,
and I hate that. I hate that because I really like
so good together.
And I really like Philip together. And I really wanted them to be able to work this thing out. But we also knew that Philip had been looking at Parvati even before that last challenge, and was like, I know I want to work with Parvati, but I can only work with her to a certain point. And then and I think Parvati felt the same way about Philip. Like, she was not going to take him to the end. She was just going to take him to a point. And that's fine. I enjoyed that. I just wish it didn't have to go from it. I wish it would have just ended with, you know what, we bluffed each other. We don't trust each other. It is what it is. Instead of now, personal feelings are involved. Now I feel like you're trying to use this game to trigger me into something that I never want to be thought about again. So it's kind of weird, and I hate it because I really do like Parvati, and I really do. I 100% am absolutely in love with Philip. So there's like I said, this is a Philip stan account here on this here podcast for me. I love Philip. So I hate that happened, but I can understand both sides, and I understand why each of them feel the way they feel about it.
I also think potentially maybe Philip was looking as well for like a reason to cut, and this was just like also a perfect opportunity to be like, ooh, you gave me an out here. You gave me a very strong out. And I mean, as you said, we're kind of now in the dead center of the game. There are 9 people left. There are 5 more games of Deal or No Deal to be played, because if we're following the exact same format as last season, when they get down to 4 or less people, no more games of Deal or No Deal are played. It is pure eliminations.
Right.
So this is the midpoint, and you really need to make sure that you can get to the end. And
absolutely,
I think this plus Parvati being in a very public alliance that does not include Philip, and that's
the problem too.
A lot of eyes on it. I think these were all really good reasons for Philip to drop Parvati here.
I agree.
And this last little bit of bringing up his past trauma gave him that perfect swing of the axe to cut.
Right. I agree with that. You know what? I agree with that. I definitely think he was looking for, because look, he already said it. We knew that. He already literally said, I can work with her up until a certain point, and then she's going to have to go. So they just made it easier for each other. These games just made it very easy for him to be like, okay, here's my point.
Yep.
And then what happens later definitely makes it clearer that it's like
it's
like
over.
But after that conversation, we see Letty and CK talking, and they're actually building this alliance, this bond that, they're going to look out for each other. And they were like, it's really good that we are talking, and I can see the benefits of working with her. CK was like, I can see the benefits of working with Letty. Letty was seeing the benefits of working with CK. And so they kind of was like, we'll look out for each other. Like, that was the gist of their whole conversation, was that we can build this up. This could work with us, and I can see us going to the end, and I'm okay with that. That's great. And I was like, this is good.
Good, yeah.
But if we all know reality TV, when they show conversations like this, it never usually ends up this good.
We do also have this idea of, basically, we have the alliance of the family, and then the nebulous grouping of everyone who is not in the family. And with that alliance now being 2/3 of the game, I had basically no faith in this alliance doing anything farther. This very much felt like a 1-episode pact kind of thing to make sure a family member went home, and all of them are going to keep that going. But if a family member can't go home, bets are off.
Absolutely.
And they're going to go after each other. And
absolutely.
CK already has some heat on her. Letty has been very safe and very much in power this whole time. Like, I mean, if CK and Letty did want to actually form an alliance, it'd probably be CK. It really did feel like CK pushing it and Letty going, okay, we'll see how the cards turn out. Like, I'm not against it, but
I mean, Letty
we're going to have to see how the round goes.
Letty did say, I can see the benefits. I can definitely see the benefits of working with CK. And so I think she was in and she was okay with it. But here's where it is. We don't know, while we're making these alliances, you don't know what the games are going to be. You don't know what the challenges are and how it's going to affect said alliance. And so we saw that play this out in this mission, because we go to mission and we see on these towers briefcases with no number of values, just high value, low value, and mid value. And it's different levels of these things with rings hanging off. And you had to jump off of these platforms and grab or knock a ring off in order to get whatever's in that case. But the twist is, you are not jumping for yourself. You're jumping for someone else. And so you have to decide if you're going to give somebody a high value case, which makes them safe from going to the bottom, a low value case, which automatically puts them in the bottom, or take a risk for two of the mid value, which one is a banker's bust and one is a deal to keep them safe. So now you have to decide who you're going to jump for and what level you're going to jump off of for that person. I like this challenge, and it seems simple enough, but it actually makes them have to show their cards a little bit. It makes them have to decide how strategic to do it, like who do you pick, how, and what value do you go for. And it has to show some of your social skills, like do you have people who will pick high values for you?
This is it is a very simple comp, especially compared to some of the ones we've done before. But it also is, I think, the clearest on, like, you have to call someone out and either say you are giving them potential safety or screwing them over. Like, there is there's a slight gray area with the middle values. But then again, that's really you only go for the middle values once the high values are gone. So, I mean, it is an interesting, simple game with one additional note that we haven't mentioned yet. The order in which people jump is completely random.
Yes.
And it is decided after every single person goes. So as one person goes, they then draw the next person to go. And you only go until everyone else is gone. And if there's anyone left, they have one more chance to be drawn and grab something.
Right. So everybody's like, how do we, trying to figure out who they're going to jump for, who they're going to go. Philip is like, he just wanted to get it out the way because he's afraid of heights and he doesn't like the water. So it's like, I don't know what to do. So who goes first? Of course, it's Philip. It's Philip. He said he wanted to go first and he's scared. He don't want to do it. And he goes first. And so he decides that I think Parvati thought he was going to jump for her.
Yeah.
And he said no. He said, no, I'm going to jump for Letty because Letty saved him the last time. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
no, that's valid. Sense. If you have to make the first move in a social heavy game, you're just going to make the move that makes the most sense.
Absolutely. It made sense. It
made sense and it worked.
It made sense to me. He jumped off the high value to get the high value case. And he did it. It was fine. He jumped. He was fine.
Simple enough.
Simple. He did it. So the next to go,
CK.
And so CK wanted Letty to jump for her. But Letty was like, I have to jump for Philip. He literally just jumped for me. Like, I can't not jump for him when he literally just jumped for me to save me. And CK was like, you can't do that. You have to jump for me. I don't want to be in the risk. And we just like, CK is like, we just made this alliance. What do you mean you can't jump for me? We got to stop being nice. We have to play the game. And to some extent, I understand what CK was saying because it's like, at some point, we have to stop playing this kumbaya friendship game. But at this moment was not that moment for Letty. Letty was like, there is no reason for me to start doing low down shady stuff right now. It's still early. I still have time.
Yeah. I mean, especially because Letty has been given power so many times by other people and she's never had to make a move.
Right.
Why would she now go ahead and betray someone who literally just saved her for... And let me make sure I got my notes right here. The person that everyone was basically willing to target before the family became an issue.
Right.
So
it didn't make sense. So she was like, I gotta do Philip. He just jumped for me. So CK was like disappointed. She was very upset that Letty was not going to jump for her. So she decided she's going to jump for Dixon. And Dixon was like, and she was going to jump off the low value. She was going to make sure Dixon was in the bottom. And I understand that too. I get it.
I do think it's smart because it proves to Letty, hey, I can't jump for you. Let me benefit the agreement we put up before.
And that is very true. And see, Dixon, her reasoning for getting rid of doing Dixon was she was picking people who didn't do anything for her, who didn't. And Dixon was like, do remember that I saved you. I could have got rid of you, but I got rid of Storm instead. And she was like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but you got rid of Storm for no fucking reason. Like, so I can't trust you.
Right, like you could have gotten rid of CK Dixon and you wouldn't be in this situation, but you got rid of Storm. who actually was literally rooting for you and cheering for you and trying to work with you. But it's okay. It's okay. We're past that.
Fine.
We're
Everything
past
is
that. We're
fine.
past that.
Yeah.
Storm's gone. It is what it is. But he was like, okay, fine, whatever. So she jumps. She gets the low value Dixon's automatically in the bottom. And so this is where Coin Gate happens. The looky-loo gate happens because
Look.
CK decides to put her hand in this box and she reaching for coins, and then she look in the box and then she see who coin she has, she drop it and she looks another one. And then she looks again to make sure she get Letty, and she's like, Letty. And Joe was like, are you kidding me? Did you just put one back?
It's like, no, the whole reason we have this box is so it's random. If we wanted to let you decide who would go next, we wouldn't have this box. The art team wouldn't have had to work on this. You are not disrespecting the art team. Do it fairly.
He was like, did you just put what? Like, what? First of all, she wasn't even slick about it. She put her hand in there and was in there forever.
Blunt.
Just
so blunt.
Like the worst magician ever. Like, it's like, we see what you're doing, Blanche. Like, stop. And she just looking, and I'm like, girl, Stevie Wonder saw that. Stevie Wonder saw what you was doing right there. Like, come on, girl.
CK is just full spiraling. There's nothing.
And so they were like, you cheating. Even Dr. Will was like, oh, it's art in this. But we don't cheat. We don't cheat. We find loopholes, but we don't cheat. It's just like, now when you're getting scolded by Dr. Will, you know you done effed up.
You fucked up.
You done messed up. You messed up. Stop getting. Oh, it was wild. So she was like, Joe was like, what are you doing? You can't do that. You can't do that. Let's
try again.
Let's try that again.
We're gonna do that one more time. And we're not doing this shit.
I mean, and she should have felt so embarrassed for getting caught cheating like that, like for no reason at all. And then she was trying to put Letty in a situation where she felt like she would have to expose that she was not going to jump for her. Like, and I don't even think that was smart. Like, because even if she did pick Letty, and Letty said, okay, yeah, I'm jumping for Philip, would nobody else be like, oh my gosh, she ain't jump for CK? Like, what was that going to prove? What was the end game for you doing that? It's
the exact same thing that Dr. Will tried to pull last week. It was a pure moral victory. It was a moral victory of saying, well, you weren't going to do this for me, even after we made that deal, and you told me you weren't going to do this for me.
So dumb. Dumb.
So incredibly dumb.
It was so dumb. I'm sorry. It was just not the smartest move to do. Because either way it went, Letty was going to jump for Philip if you pulled her the next or not. She was still going to do that. She was still going. Okay, y'all, I'm laughing because David is behind the scene. Is backstage sending jokes in the chat. Some of Dr. Will was going to storm off when she did that because that's what Dr. Will does. He storms off when he doesn't have to get his way. But whatever. We didn't get a storm off this week. So progress.
Yay. We did get a complete implosion though, so
no, but not from Dr. Will. So
not from Dr. Will.
But yeah.
Speaking of Dr. Will,
picking I think she picks Seychelle.
No.
Oh no,
she picks Dr. Will.
She picks Will. And so Will says, I'm going to jump for Seychelle.
And goes high.
He's gonna go high. And
what an honorable man.
He jumps and he misses. Did he miss
intentionally?
It on purpose? Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. Let's make it very clear. That man absolutely threw. And just to be clear, there was no reason for him to throw.
No.
His entire goal is to make sure he is able to play the banker. Give Seychelle safety.
Yes, that's one.
And that's one less spot. Like, you're good in that case, but
I don't understand why he was thinking he needed to throw it. Like, what? Sometimes, some games like this one, you don't have to throw. It wasn't like you were pulling for yourself. Just run, get Seychelle keep calling it Seychelles. Seychelles, safety. That's one less safety off the board for somebody to go for you. But no, he didn't think that through. He did not think that through. I don't think he thought that through. I don't.
He definitely didn't.
And I think, of course, he'll say, of course, in the moment, you're not thinking about it, and you all have time to watch it on TV. But even when we're watching it on TV, the second he said he was going to throw it, I was like, why? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense in that split decision to throw it, because it's not like it's coming to you. You still have a chance to be at the bottom and play the banker like you want to do. Yeah. But anyway, so he misses, and then he pulls,
then he pulls
Seychelles. She said she's going to jump for Parvati.
Lachelle.
Oh,
Lachelle, because she just wants Lachelle to be safe, and she's gonna go for a high value. Footnote though, Seychelles is deathly afraid of heights and is not okay to do this.
I would have went for mid. If I was her, I would have went for mid and be like, we just go take a risk and see what happens. I understand why she did it, but you're afraid of heights. And baby, she literally took a half a step off, and it was like she didn't. I think she
basically walked off.
She walked off the platform. She didn't jump. She walked off that platform. Was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, girl.
She was never getting a ring.
You were never gonna get it. Like, it was. Boop.
Good that she jumped though, but like,
did she? No, Jack. Did she?
Okay, good that she fell off instead of just like being like, I'm not jumping from the start.
She said, okay, I'm gonna run to the end, and said, step. There was no jump involved, baby. There was not a jump. She just stepped right on off the thing. It was like, I got it done. I was like, girl, I love Seychelles. I enjoy her on the show. But baby, that was not a jump. That was not a hop. That was a
walk.
That was a walk. She walked a plank, baby. She did not jump nothing. There was no hops involved. And me and my bad knees would have jumped higher than that. Like, baby girl, she said, she took a baby step off that platform. I was dying. I never laughed so hard in my life. I was like, not the step off, girl. And screamed on her way. Ah! Baby, I was dead. Dead. You could have stuck a fork in me. I was done, honey. She said,
no.
Okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have laughed so hard at that. But that was hilarious to me, baby. I was in tears watching that. I said, not the step off. But then Lachelle goes, and she goes to Parvati, right? Am I right about
that? So Lachelle pulls Dixon.
Dixon, of course.
Immediately turns around and says, CK, you're still available. There's still a low case available. You're done. I'm jumping for it. And to no one's surprise, she just grabs. Thank you.
It is what it was at that point. It was like, yeah. Dixon goes, he pulls
Parv.
Parv says, I'm going to do this because she has been talking with David and was like, you need to make a deal with Letty. So Letty, if you jump for Philip, she can jump for you and you'll be safe. And Dave was like, but I don't want you exposed. She was like, it's fine if I'm exposed. I'll be, we'll figure it out. I can still probably be safe, blah, blah, blah. So Parvati says, I'm going to jump for Dr. Will. And I'm going for the high value. And Will automatically knows exactly what's going down. He was like, Parvati is not playing for me. She does not want to work with me. She just wants to make sure I'm not playing the banker. And she absolutely does that. Which is why I was like, Will, if you would have grabbed Seychelles, it wouldn't have been one less that she would have had to get. Like, but still, she jumps. She gets one for Will. Will is now safe. Cannot play the banker. Bam.
Simple. Nice and simple. Just a good strategy that doesn't really put Parv to the fire at all.
Nope.
I mean, it takes out Will's chance to make another big crazy move and throw him.
It takes away from them having to spend 7 hours in the temple listening to Will's antics and shenanigans and picking the cases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because it doesn't make sense, and it doesn't matter what number you pick because you already picked your case, so it doesn't matter what order you go in. And so they didn't want another Dr. Will show, so they were like, yeah, he gotta not play the banker. So then David goes, he jumps for Philip like he promised. Basically, he just took a half a leap off and he grabbed it. Like he did. David's tall.
Joe is like, what? Joe is 6'4", 6'5", something like that. I mean, the whole time he's on After Midnight, the other two comedians are literally stacking apple crates trying to get to his height. Like, Joe is tall as shit. David is taller.
Right.
So it's not a question if David can reach it. It's a question if David wants to. And it was definitely wants to.
It was definitely just like Joe was like, yeah, David, me and you are at normal heights. Everyone was like, yeah, okay, right, normal heights, okay. But literally, David could have grabbed that ring standing on the platform. He could just reached up and grabbed it, but he jumped, he grabbed it, done. Safe. Philip is safe, just like he promised. And he knew Letty was playing with integrity, as she's been saying the whole time. She's playing an honest game. She wants to do it honestly. So Letty ends up getting picked next. She picks to save David, gives him the high case, which sends CK into another spiral moment. Like, these people are lying. What are we doing here? You were just trying to get at them, and you wanted to take them down, and now we're saving each other. And Philip doesn't want to work with them.
Surprise! But this game has more than two sides to it. People have friends outside of those two sides, and if push comes to shove, they're going to make a decision that doesn't necessarily align with what you think is going to happen.
Seisha's going for Parvati, and this is going for this person, and this person is going, and they don't like each other. Like, she is losing her mind.
Oh, she's gone.
She's losing it. And so the next round happens because Seisha, Parvati, and Lachelle does not have cases. And so they need cases. And so they tell Lachelle that she either jumps and grabs a case for somebody, or she can just say she doesn't want to jump and she doesn't get a case and she's automatically in the bottom. She decides, you know what? I'm not going to do that to myself again. I'm just going to put myself at the bottom. It's fine. She was like, I know people think that's stupid. It's kind of crazy. Though everybody's like, that's wild. You just can't jump. But she just can't do it. And I'm like, if your fear is that gripping and it takes you to that point, like, I get it. I understand it. If you don't really feel like you want to do that again, don't do it. You just know the consequences to your actions. Like, she couldn't get mad for being in the bottom. And like, if she does go home, she can't get mad because she put herself in that situation to be in the bottom because she chose not to jump again. That left Parvati and Lachelle, and they choose to just go on and jump again. And they're going to jump off the mid card. They're like, we just go do it.
Let's be civil. Like,
we just go do it, and whoever gets what we get. Right.
Yeah.
She was like, whoever gets it, gets it. And it's a 50-50 chance. Let's just go for it. And both of them jump. They both get cases. And there it was. So we know one of them is going to be in the bottom and one of them is going to be safe. And so we find out who has the biggest case. Everybody who with the high value, everybody opens their case. And we find out that Letty has the high value case.
For a second week in a row. For literally no reason.
Because Philip grabbed the right case for her. Good on her.
Yeah, literally the winning position was decided like it was last week, basically randomly. And I will say that is probably the only thing in this format I don't necessarily like, is that some challenges, who is in control of probably the only decision that matters in elimination besides if the other player wins, who actually gets to determine who's eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
Having the decision of who actually gets to make that major call of who's playing against the banker being random like half of the time? Give that strategy back to the players. I understand in this challenge that wasn't necessarily a thing they could do, but instead have the two middle cases be the lowest value case and the highest value case. Because nothing changes if you do that. Because then it will actually incentivize people to go for said high value, go for the middle value and be like, I want to potentially put you in a position of power. Let me force you into that position or send you directly into the bottom. Versus here where it's like, yeah, so we're going to give 4 people immunity. One of them randomly will get power. And then on the side, we also have a different platform where one of you will be safe and one of you won't. And there's no reason to go after that until the other 4 cases are gone already.
Very true. I agree with that.
So it's that little bit of refinement that, like, I love the challenges on the show. I think if they think about it a little bit deeper, they can make challenges even better and force them to make even tougher decisions.
I also think it would have been interesting if they would have had the person who did the jumping and got the bigger case for the person, even if they don't have the highest case because they jumped and got the highest case. Maybe that person should have been the person who has the sole decision. Like Philip would have got it because he jumped and got Letty that case. Not Letty, who didn't do anything, just got a case given to her, is now this person who makes that sole vote. I like your plan a lot better because I think that would, like you said, made people incentivize people for going for those middle cases earlier than what they did. But if they didn't want to do that route, I think the other route would have been a little bit more interesting than just giving the person who gets the highest case make the sole decision. But Letty has the sole decision to decide who is going to play the banker, because she got
3.5 million.
3.5 million. Yeah.
Yeah. David ends up with 3.25, Will with 3 million, Philip with 2.75 million, Parv with 2.5 million, Lachelle ends up with 2 million, and the banker's bust, which doesn't really matter. Right. There's no reason in distinction between that. Dixon gets 1.5 million, CK gets 1 million, and Seychelles does not claim a case, meaning she has nothing.
Nothing at all. So, Seychelles is like 0. All of them done. But then, so Lachelle has the baker's bust, so she's in the bottom. So it's Dixon, CK, Lachelle, and Seychelles that are in the bottom. Parvati is now safe. So everything that they wanted to happen happened. Parvati is still safe. David is safe. The only person who is not safe is Dixon. And so we got to figure out what to do with that.
I mean, we have a very similar situation to last week where there's exactly one family member who's in danger. Very easy target.
Should be.
Very easy.
Should be. But then we get back to camp. And CK is spiraling. She's losing it. She's losing everything. She's done. She's over it. She's like, this is crazy because this game has just showed me that alliances don't mean anything to anybody in this game, and people are coming for people, and they're lying. And then she goes and she spills everything, and I mean everything to Parvati and Dixon, because at first Dixon wanted to play. Dixon was in the mindset that he kind of wanted to play so he can have his destiny in his own hands. He wouldn't mind doing it.
And also, if he doesn't play and someone else just takes a decent deal, he's done. It's not a question.
And he knows this. But CK also wants to play. Now, she said she wants to play to correct the cheating thing that she did. She wants to go with her head held high. She doesn't like what she did, so she wants to fix things and rectify things. But she is now. She tells that to Letty. She wants to fix things. She wants to be, do right, and she wants to have, some moral
Control.
control over what happens. And so then she spirals and tells Parvati about the plan that they all had to go against MG, and she was, how Philip and Letty and Sasha and Will had all come together, and they were going to let Will play, and if he wins, he was going to send MG home, and all of this nonsense, and it was going to be a lot, like she spilled the tea, and she was like, they are all coming after the family. And so in that moment, Parvati was like, wait, what? What do you mean? And she was like, yeah, y'all, they call y'all the family and they want to come after all of y'all. Like, Philip wants to come after you hard, and Sasha want to come after you, and they want to come after David. Like, she's spilling.
Everything. So, everything is on the open.
Everything. And Parvati was like, I didn't know that they called us the family. I didn't realize that we had this target on us like that. I didn't think it was like that. And so Parvati and Dixon are just standing there like, interesting.
That's interesting.
That's interesting. And so CK was like, I should just tell it all. And I should just put all the cards on the table because I don't like how people are lying. And I don't like how people are doing this. And and I'm like,
she's spiraling. Like, she's gone.
Girl. She's going crazy. She's telling all the tea right now. She's okay. Now, as a TV viewer, I'm like,
this is art.
This is entertaining. Oh, she is trying to get her lick back for. But then I was like, but what you getting your lick back for? Like, who are you mad at? Are you mad at Letty? Are you mad at Philip? Are you mad at Are you mad at everybody who was in on the plan that you decided to take? Like, who are we mad at here? Are you mad at yourself, but you don't want to say you're mad at yourself for making, for making
I
the
think
mistakes
it's definitely
that. But
it's definitely that.
You need somebody else to blame. And so now you're blaming everybody for what you did wrong. And I was just like, okay. All right. But she said she's going to tell everything. She wasn't going to hold back. She was like, the cards need to be on the table. And I was like,
we need to reset this game from the beginning. And like,
I think it's a little too late for a reset, but sure, you could try. It'd be fun to watch the reset happen, I guess. But if we don't do a reset, we will have to start from the very beginning. And that means Will can't be there. And of course, Will is safe. So he can't go. And you have now just taken away, you have now shown the divide. It was a divide, but it wasn't a known divide. Now you pretty much Kendrick Lamar'd it and stood in the middle of the American flag. Like, you just divided everything. Like, if y'all ain't watched the halftime show, sorry. But
if you haven't watched the halftime show at this point, it's 12 minutes. Get on it. Anyway.
It's like you literally have divided, and you are just like, there's two sides to this camp now. And you have shown where the divide and the cracks lie. Because now Parvati is looking at Philip like, because he was already looking at her like, and everybody has always looked at Dr. Will like, and
there's no way to put back the pieces of a fractured glass building. Like, you're not gonna make the same building again. Mm-hmm. What it is you're gonna assemble something, it's going to fall apart immediately. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's nothing really to do. Like, you can do all this, but nothing is going to happen.
Maybe it was wild. So we get the temple, and
there is kind of one more thing to bring up first, and it's that CK goes to Letty.
Oh, I thought I already talked about that, but okay.
And Letty's like, look, I don't know what I can tell you other than like, we're kind of still good, but you were forcing a decision that would have forced my hand. I'm not going to do that. And CK's like, okay, you betrayed my trust. I had your back. It's over now. So we're done, essentially.
And here's I was like, CK does not know how to play this game because
CK is full spiraling. It's over.
You can't let your emotions take over everything. Even if I'm mad at you in a game like this, you will never know I'm mad at you. You will never know. Because why would, like, you know who will know? The audience. Because I'm going to my confessionals and I'm going off. But in front of you, you will never know. I'm like, girl, it's fine. No, we're good. Everything is good. I think we're gonna be fine. Everything is gonna be good. We just have to, I didn't like that, but it's fine because I understand why you like. I'm going to be the most understanding person, and you're going to think that everything is fine. But then when I get to tempo, and if I win this game, I'm coming for you. It's just like you will. These. I was like, what do you mean? You're going to tell somebody straight up to their face it's over in a game? Well, you could possibly still be here tomorrow. What?
It's incredible. It really is.
It's what? It just goes to show some people do not play strategic games. And I am very thankful and grateful just in case one day, by some crazy circumstance, I happen to get put on some real life game and it's a strategic game that I can start thinking about this and be like, okay, Lana, think about all the stuff you learned playing all these games you played and put them into play. Like, check your emotions at the door. These people are your friends in this game, but they are not your real life friends. And if they want to become your real life friends, they will not take anything in this game personally. If they do, they were never meant to be your friends in the first place. Like, you got to check it at the door. You cannot go in there and be like, you hurt my feelings. I trusted you with everything. Why are you doing that? These people are here for the same reason you here. Why do you think you can trust them with your life in this game? Absolutely not. But woof, I don't know. It's wild. But she was done. She told her she was done. Like, we are over and I don't want to deal with it anymore. And I was like, oh, okay. But like, now we get to the temple. Letty picked CK to play. Just like we knew she would. Simple. She picked her to play. She wanted to play. She played. And CK says before she even picks her own case, I got to say this, and I'm going to say this with my whole chest. Letty, Philip, Sasha, Will all came to me with this deal to get rid of Maria Grace. And we all work together to get rid of Maria Grace because they all don't like y'all and they want to get rid of the family. It was just like, whoop.
Oh, okay. No, we are actually laying it out. Oh my God.
Oh,
okay.
I was like, she doing it. She doing it. And so now Letty is like, oh, if you still here tomorrow, I'm coming for your head. And I was like, oh.
Just burn every single bridge you possibly have on the way down. The only way that CK can now live is becoming a fourth member of the family. Yep. That is her decided option. And she knows that's not majority. And it does actually give her a reason to do something a little bit different, but I don't think she's going to do anything different here. And we'll talk about it near the end, but oh my God, this is just horrible strategic gameplay.
But she did leave herself open to be embraced by the family because now Parvati and David are like, and even Dixon sitting down at the bottom starting to feel a little bit more safer with CK playing, even though he still feels she could still pick him and he might go, which is a possibility if it happens. But they started to feel a little bit like maybe, just maybe, if she survives, she won't pick Dixon. She'll pick one like Seychelle because that was the only person that she named who is vulnerable at this point, and send Seychelle out the door, and then we'll get her
like a perfect 4-on-4.
A 4, but then
But then also the only reason Dixon is there is directly because of CK.
Right. So it's kind of like,
So
so it's a back and forth. And so at this point, Parvati and David are all in for CK to win this. So they're rooting for her. And Seishu and Letty are kind of just like, yeah, we cool on her. We're a little cool on her right now. But then she picks her case. She starts playing the game. Throughout the game, we see Parvati looking at Philip is like, Philip, you've been naughty. And she, like, first of all, don't talk to that grown man like that. That is a grown man. Do not do that. I don't like that. Don't do that to that man. But that's not whatever. But he's like, what you talking about? Like, I mean, you doing some stuff behind the scenes. He was like, I'm playing my game. It's like, what it is. Sometimes being cute about it is a little passive aggressive and a little condescending. So that's why I'm like, people need to stop. They need to watch how about being cute and making it, because sometimes it turns into condescending. And it's like, yeah, and that's the whole problem with some people. And I don't think people understand that and realize cute can be a little
much.
Yeah, especially when it comes to certain people, because like you taking this and it's like, it's either you trying to treat me like a little child, you're being naughty. I am not a child. I'm a grown man. Don't do that. Or like you thought you had me in your back pocket, and now I did something that you don't like, and look at you now, bad boy. And it's like, don't do that. It's a thin line between cute and condescending, and to me it felt a little.
And I also think at this point, Parvati thinks that she still has Philip. Like she hasn't fully clocked the fact that Parvati, that Philip is very annoyed with her and is very done with her.
Yeah, I hate David. David just sitting there and said, I hate Parvati. I don't hate Parvati. He said just kidding, but I don't hate Parvati. I just think in this episode, she rubbed me the wrong way. I love Parvati, but in this episode was not my favorite Parvati.
Oh, this was a bad showing for Parvati.
This was not my favorite Parvati.
She pushed Philip farther and farther to the point where any chance of that relationship repairing is gone. And now Philip is like, oh, you haven't realized that I'm done with you. And she even says, like, Philip, do we need to talk about something? And Philip was like,
and he was like,
I'm smart enough not to talk about it here because you're not getting that answer right now.
Right. It felt a lot more needly. It felt like she was needling him and poking and prodding him to get him to react. And he was like, I'm not going to do that here. You're not going to do that to me. I'm smart enough to know what it is. And here's the thing. And I know people are going to be like, oh, here she go again with this whole thing. I know Philip is like, I can't go off and pop off right now because I will be the angry black man on this show if I do that. And I don't want to do that. We, as black people, go into these games having to play two different games. Not only are we playing for ourselves, but we are also playing where people don't look at us as a whole, as a community, because that's how people look at us. We go in there, and if one thing we mess up, it's the whole community. All black people so loud. Black people angry. They're angry black man. What's wrong with black people? Nobody else has to play for a community but us, because everybody looks at us as a whole, as a collective. But anybody else does it, it's just them. Oh, well, Parvati's not being this. She's being, Parvati is being Parvati. Parvati is just this. But nobody's saying, oh, all white women are that way. All white women are that way. Nobody does that. All white people are that way. Nobody does. Or all Mexican people are that way. We don't do that for anybody else, but it's just us. And so I understand. He went in that game. He was like, in that moment, he was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm smart enough to know that I'm not going to, first of all, I'm not going to give you what you want, a reaction. And I'm not going to give the people watching it what they want, a reaction. So I'm not going to do it. I don't want to talk about it. It just felt a little needly, little nudge at her for no reason.
And just also mentally note that although we may see this as like a 10-20 minute sequence,
right?
They are there for like 4 or 5 hours. And tonight started with CK randomly calling out everyone, including Philip.
Yes.
And Parvati is needling that situation and keeping it alive for 4 or 5 hours. I don't blame Philip for being very annoyed and being like, we're not talking about this right now. We have some shit to deal with. We're going to talk about that back there where I don't have to bring up all of our dirty shit in front of you.
Right.
So
it's just crazy. But then CK's playing. She's doing pretty good. Again, though, I have questions, Jack, and I need answers. And I need, David, if you in the back and you have these answers, I need answers. But why was the game different this week than it was last week? Because
I don't know.
When Will played, the first round was 4 cases and the second round was 2 cases. And then it was 2 cases. But this week, this week it went back to normal, where the first round was 4 cases, the second round was 4 cases, and the third round was 2 cases. I'm confused. I need answers.
The only thing I can think about is there was some sort of editing that they wanted to do with last week, and they 80-yard things and made it look weird, but we picked up on it because it felt wrong. And either that, or they randomly changed the rules up and are just kind of expecting us to look past it. And that does feel really weird for a game that's like, yeah, no, we want to keep this luck element pretty standard.
I just don't know. I was so confused. I was like,
it's really confusing.
I'm like, these first 2 rounds were 4 cases apiece. And that's how it's been for everybody up until Dr. Will. And then it was the first round 4 cases, the second round 2 cases, and then last round 1 case. And I'm like, I'm confused because nobody else had that. Nobody else had that up until
no one else
point.
Had that.
And then we go right back to where it was before Will.
It definitely feels weird, especially because it's specifically Will playing.
That's what made it weird for me.
I will also note that, I mean, in Will's case, I don't think the numbers really changed anything. I mean, it got him a slightly better deal. And maybe it was also the fact that he technically, I don't know, there's some weird thing about him first accepting a deal and then not accepting it that screwed something up behind the scenes. And they just kind of had to hide it in the editing because they kind of realized, oh shit, we said something and that's not right. And we're just going to try to hide it. And you know what? Sometimes that happens. I've had that happen multiple times where I've said something when I'm hosting a game and it's like, I cannot walk it back at this moment. I'm going to pretend like people are ignoring it. And if any of you have played those games, I did not just say those words. So, you know, I think it's just going to be one of those unexplainable things that we're just not going to be able to really know. I will also say nothing in this game really mattered because every single time a deal was offered, it was always 50% of the cases are lower, 50% of the cases are higher. Yep. And I think that is the exact reason that we see CK go through 3 rounds. And she gets to that final case. Like, it literally doesn't matter. It's 2 high cases, 2 low cases. 2 high cases, 2 low cases. 1 high case, 1 low case. Ignore the position of my hands because I screwed that up. But I mean, we kind of just, we don't have an interesting game and we never get a chance for CK to hop off and like make a strong decision. But I think that might work in our favor.
The interesting part of this temple was not the game itself.
It wasn't the game.
It wasn't the game itself. It was everything that happened in the, look, as they call it, in the peanut gallery. That's where the fun was. That's where the drama was. And it was just like, CK is doing fine. 50-50 on everything. All the deals were really good deals. If it was on any other show where people were like, I'll take this money and go home, she would have took the deal like a long time ago. Like I think she would have been took that deal. Like me personally, when it got 325, I'm like, yep. If that was going to me, but in this situation, yes, she had to not take that deal. And she got literally up to 900.
Basically $1 million.
Almost $1 million was the deal because she still had $2 million on the board. It came down to like 2.5 million and $250.
Yeah, it was something where it literally is like high value case or low value case. And either you accept the deal and pray that you have a low value case, or you don't accept the deal and pray that you have the 2.5 million.
Right.
Because that's your options at this point. And
yeah.
I mean, it's how this game goes sometimes, where I mean it's pure luck. It gets down to pure coin flips, and that's how it goes. But we don't even see that. We don't even know what happens.
We don't know what happened yet because they left us on the cliffhanger. We don't know if she took the deal or not because where we left off was now CK is like, well, CK
yeah,
was
well,
like,
there is a way to know, but
it's a way to know, but we won't tell y'all a way to know because y'all deal with the cliffhanger like everybody else. If y'all don't already know, most of y'all probably already know. But CK is like, I don't know why she felt the need to do this or say this, but she was like, Philip, you're acting really weird. And we don't know what happened. Like Philip could have been saying something or doing something that just wasn't edited. We didn't see it. But she was like, Philip, you're acting weird. And this is the same thing. Parvati had been saying that the whole time. Like, why are you being so weird? To what it looked like to us, well, to me watching, he was just sitting there, just like, I think he had a lot of emotions inside of him bubbling up, but he was trying to suppress them. And it was kind of like, you know how when you're anxious to say something, but you don't want to say nothing. You're like, I don't want to say nothing. But you're just sitting there with these emotions just sitting on your chest. And you're like, And they took it as, Philip, you're acting weird. You're doing weird stuff. And he's just like, and so I think when CK said it, he was like, oh, that's it. That's it right there. Because you, of all people, know what you did. Because honestly, CK, let's be honest, and I'm gonna be real. If we are interviewing CK next week, I will say to her then, you didn't have to take the deal. You took the deal with Will because you were saving yourself. So now to turn on and say that they all concocted this plan for them to send MG home. Sure, they came up with the plan and you accepted the plan. And now you're mad because you feel like the alliance that you felt you were with didn't have your back. Now you're exposing the whole alliance. So he's like, are you going to seriously, like, you mad at Letty. You weren't mad at Philip. Why are you exposing Philip? You weren't mad at Will. Why are you mad? You were exposing Will. You were mad at Letty because Letty told you she was not going to jump for you when you asked her to jump for you. And so I'm like, if you're mad at Letty, be mad at Letty, but she's safe. Philip is also safe. Will is also safe. What is it exposing that? Like, I don't get it. But she turned on Philip and was like, why are you being so weird and what is happening? And Philip was like, you don't want to go there with me. You don't want to go there with me. And she was like, I mean, let's go. What you talking about? He was like, no, because, and this line right here.
Iconic. I
mean, the line I will keep in my brain for a long time. This man said, when you go low, I'm going underground. I'm going to go underground. Harriet Tubman is going to tell you to run. Like, wait, what? This man said, you go underground. You're going to go so underground, Harriet Tubman going to be there like it's time for you to run. I was like, not the Underground Railroad. Oh, my God. Did you
my jaw hit the fucking floor.
It's like,
I was not mentally ready for Philip to go there. But
not during this Black History Month. I didn't think but you know what? That was a good Black History lesson right in the middle of Deal or No Deal. If y'all didn't know about the Underground Railroad and who was a part of it, Harriet Tubman ran the Underground Railroad, Black History lesson. But in a way,
and also, if you didn't know that Harriet Tubman ran the Underground Railroad, I think you need to revisit history class. But
Yeah,
people will actually
underground.
think it's underground.
They
No, it
will.
wasn't underground, but you get
I
underground
mean,
in a metaphorical sense,
I mean,
and
in some cases
probably
it
also
was
physical.
underground.
In some cases,
It
definitely
was.
physical.
Yeah, in
But
some
it
cases
wasn't
there
like
was.
mole tunnels all the way down.
Not mole tunnels. I mean, true. Yo. It look, all that aside.
All that aside.
Philip literally is like, when you go low, I will go to hell. Don't play with me. Like, I'm not gonna go there with you. And it's oh my God.
You cannot get rid of me right now. You bringing this up is a horrible idea because I have a whole nother day to make your life a living hell. Do not try.
It was wild. In that moment, I was like, oh, and that is where they left us. Like, they
That's where it
turned it
ends.
off.
It
They
ends. It ends
left
right
us
there.
with, when you go low, I'm gonna go underground. Like Harriet Tubman is going to have to tell you to run. Boom. They cut it off. I'm like,
and we don't even get an after show for this week because they cut it. Like
wild. Y'all, and I'm gonna be very transparent with y'all. I watched that before we came on here to record, and I was just like, oh my God, I didn't see none of y'all comments that y'all put in the Discord before until that moment. And I was like, oh, y'all already talked about it. But I instantly went to Instagram and saw Philip was active, and I was like, King, like, I am so obsessed with you right now for that. I'm so obsessed. And he was like, oh, I know we said sometimes I got to go ratchet. I said, the more ratchet, the better. I am here for all of your ratchet. It's so, that just did my whole soul so good. I was just like, I was gooped and gagged like never before. I loved it. And I can't wait to see what happened. I loved it. I loved it. Philip
so
is
good.
iconic to me in this moment. I don't care what nobody say. You can like it. You didn't have
Oh
to like
yeah, no. I mean, Philip is the breakout newbie star of this season.
it. For me.
Hard set.
Love him.
I mean,
Love
Philip.
him.
Imagine if we had gotten Philip on like a season that wasn't dominated by personalities like David and Will and Parvati. Like David would have ran that shit like Derek ran BB16. I'm sorry. It was bound to happen. And they had to put him on a show where he couldn't immediately steal the spotlight. And it's a crime that happened.
I mean,
they should have put him on the Traitors. They should have immediately thrown him to the Traitors. Let's be completely real.
I don't know. I like him in this. Because I think he's so nice. And so like he would have, even if I like him in this situation with the bigger personalities because he still gets to shine in his own way without being the biggest personality there. But he is true. So good in such a good spot. What he was. I don't know how good of a spot. We'll see what happens. I still think he's in a good spot. I honestly still think he's in a good spot. I just think him and Parvati gonna have to figure out their drama. But baby, when I tell you, I was living for this moment, and I cannot wait. I think if they were going to do a cliffhanger, this was the right way to do it, and this is the right time to do it. And because now I'm like, Tuesday needs to get here pronto. Like, I need to see what happens next week. I'm tempted to go see spoilers. I'm pretty much probably am. I think I am. I'm not even lying.
I will ask because we have the option to not see spoilers at the moment, and the person in the walls do not. Let's say that CK wins.
Who does she take out?
Do you think she takes out? Does she take out Diction?
No.
I think she has to.
I don't think she has to.
No, I mean, she has to take out Seychelle.
Yeah.
because unfortunately, I think Seychelle is one of the names that she is considered like, unfortunately, here collateral damage of being a big influence in the move that happened. And unfortunately, the same way that eliminating Maria Grace was used to hurt the family, eliminating Seychelle will be used to hurt everyone who isn't in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have a 4-on-4 next week.
I think if she wins, she has to take Seychelle out at this point. Because number one, she says Seychelle's name with that group with Letty and Philip and Will. And so she has to do that. But if she takes out Dixon, not only does she mess with the family, she also has blown up any trust she has with the other people. So I think her best bet is to take out Seychelle if she loses. Now, if she wins, rather, if she loses and goes home,
if she loses and goes home, unfortunately, a lot of the drama this episode was for fucking nothing, because she blows up everyone's game and then immediately leaves.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, I can also see why that would be a good reason to have a cliffhanger, because then it's like, oh, and all of that drama has just left the island.
But it also leaves. I think if she leaves, it's probably for the best for TV, because now she done left all this drama in her wake. And now everybody has to deal with the aftermath, and she has no part of it anymore. So I like that, instead of her doing it and staying, and then somebody's gone. Like, let's say she does take out Seychelle. Seychelle's gone. And now, even though that would be good TV too, either way, I think it's good TV. Because if she stays, now she has to deal with it. And Letty's going to be pissed at her. Philip is going to be pissed. Will is not going to really care that much, but he's definitely not going to trust her. He doesn't trust her anyway, so there's no more, there's no coming back from that. And you know who I actually feel like it might be in a better position right now? Lachelle. Because she's directly in the middle. She's not a part of this group that got called out from CK, but she's not a part of the family. So now both sides are going to want her. Who's going to get Lachelle? Which side is going to get Lachelle? And she was doing a lot of conversation with the family and having more time, that we saw with the family. I could edit it, we could be wrong. But from what we saw, she was spending more time. And I think she was rooting for CK, because her and CK had that moment together. They were at the bottom together. I get it. I don't know what's going to happen. I just know it's going to be wild, and I can't wait to see. But we are going to be back next week to talk all about it when it happens. And hopefully we'll have some exit interviews so we can clear this mess up. We can have something to clear up, because it's a lot of questions. I don't think we're going to have a problem getting questions together for the person who gets them.
I don't think we are. No, there's going to be a lot to discuss.
We're going to have to probably
we're going to have to eliminate questions. Like, we won't be able to ask everything.
It's a lot we're going to have to ask. But we will be back next week to talk all about all of those things. So we do appreciate you for joining us on this journey. Y'all know what to do. Hit the subscribe button on your way out. Apparently this episode was really, really good, Jack, because this is the longest we've ever talked about Deal or No Deal Island.
Oh, yeah. I mean, surprise, when you actually give us strategy and drama on this show, we talk about it for longer than the episode.
A lot.
And also because David's
here. And because David's here, too. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's a lot to talk about. We had a lot of fun talking about it, and I hope you had fun listening to it. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, subscribe to all of our other channels. All those links will be in the description below. Subscribe on our audio podcast links. Click those, subscribe there. Do all the things. Follow us on all of our socials at The Cup Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. You can follow Jack and I on all those socials as well. And join our Patreon to get some great stuff. Get your merch, lanagcreations.etsy.com. And yeah, we're going to get out of here. So cheers, y'all.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers. Bye.